Pudgee Tha Phat Bastard in the house. Yo, I have to say, so you were born in Harlem, but you were raised in the Bronx, right?
Fire. I mean, I played both, and even when we moved to the Bronx, we only moved right over the bridge to 161st.
Okay. Yankee State.
And so, I never not was in both places at the same time. Like my other family's there. I went to school in Harlem, and when I grew up, that's where I played because most of my friends from the early years was there. You know what I'm saying? You know how you stick to what you know. So, and when I went back to do my first video, I went there. So it's pretty much the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like whatever.
Yo, so you talking to we two Bronx dudes. What was it like for you though, growing up in the Bronx?
What was it like? It was fire.
Fun.
It's crazy, man. You're asking the right questions off rip. My man was just talking about this. He was saying how he remember when we was growing up, people used to be like, "You live in the Bronx, everything is burnt down." And I said, when we moved to the Bronx after 161, which is right across from Yankee Stadium, I had a fire childhood. The business was popping. The courthouse was right there, so crime wasn't jumping through. When we moved further uptown to Williamsbridge, close to Mount Vernon, it was nothing but white people and like 4 or 5 Jamaicans, and everything else was like Italians. And I ain't even lying to you.
You're right, because I'm from Boston Road. I'm from that area, son.
and Albanians on Pelham. So who was chasing the black people after school? Shooting bombs and arrows. But we didn't have like it used to be. I remember, shout out to Monifa, when Monifa and I were young, because she lived on my block. We used to go to clubs at about, I'm gonna say 19, 17, 18, around there. And when we would come home on the train, us and our friend group, it would be us and a bum on the train, the whole train. Us and a bum all the way to 241st Street. It was a bum. The bum was the only person. He was going not even get off the train and make a U-turn and go back to new lots of Flatbush or whatever. So yet nobody even knew this existed. Even I could say like 10 years ago, you would tell somebody that you lived up here and you had to say like a major place near here. Like I'd be like, oh, I live off Burke Avenue. They'd be like, where's that? I'd be like, you know, Gun Hill Road. They'd be like, oh, I know 219. I'm like, of course you do. They sell drugs over there. You probably be over here. But shout out to 219. And yeah, that's it. But they ain't really
so yeah, landmarks. You had to give landmarks. Yo, I live next to Yankee Stadium. I live next to Skate Key. Shoot, but yeah, I grew up in the South Bronx, so I seen a lot of them burnt down buildings and vacant lots. Right. That shit was real.
You know, you just shot down my whole Bronx ain't burnt down.
Yo,
I gave a whole spiel, bro. I'm gonna need you to work on your support.
You was fortunate enough to live uptown, boy. I was in the South Bronx.
No, I was in the South Bronx. I was on 161, 910 Grand Concourse, and we lived in 955 Sheridan first.
Okay.
So yeah. So I'm the hood. Okay. And you know,
hold on. Let me touch your hood car. So you've seen people jumping off fridges onto springs and mattresses to do flips and vacant lots.
Yeah, sir.
You talking about fun? You say that, you should making it sound like, see, I'm gonna need you to work on your skill. That sound like homicide, jumping off, already start off bad. We talking about fun. So yes, I saw people in graffiti lines, building backyards, jumping off of playgrounds that we had to make because that's all we had to work with.
Talk about
you see how I did that there? Yeah. I'm gonna need you to work on your presentation when you talk about the BX.
Talk about it, son. The BX back then, especially, I'm from Jackson Avenue, but then I done moved up to Boston Road. Yo, we used to.
My father was from Prospect.
Yo, my father's from Forest. So playing in them abandoned buildings, those are the boys. That was the clubhouse. You know what I mean? You keep a
fire. Who don't want to hang in an abandoned building, bro?
That shit was the playhouse.
That was your first mansion. Like nobody else did but you.
That's a fact. So how'd you
come up with making the sound whack? It's fire, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Where's the name Fat Bastard come from? And I tell you why I asked that question. As a kid, I was a chubby kid. And they would always say, Rob, you fat bastard. I used to hear that all my childhood because I was a chubby kid, so I lost the weight. And I'm like, I'm not a fat bastard no more. But then I heard.
So that's what it came from.
Yeah, but then I said, there's an MC called Pudgee Tha Phat Bastard. It's like, damn, that name was cool all the time.
Nah, that's where it came from. It came from
being chubby, right?
My mouth is. I got the same mouth now, and the same verbiage and language and style of talking that I had when I was a kid, and I guess which is how I became a rapper. So you would say something. And, I started off with your mother, but I graduated quickly. Like, your mother fuck with that, though, so it don't matter what you say, So I started off with your mother, but then it evolved into ratchet stuff. Like, but that's why your father left your mother, and that's why y'all not, y'all living how y'all living now. Like, it just turned into a whole bunch of terrible stuff. And they be like, oh, I hate that fat bastard. I mean, you're not going to beat me up. My friend group was valid. My brothers was whatever. I had a big family. So I just had them out. But I hate that fat bastard. So one day, and I'm going to tell her how it's supposed to be told. One day, I didn't like being called that, but I knew that's what I was called. One day, Old Dirty and I was on the train together before we got on.
Hold on. You want to just gloss over? You just start like Old Dirty, like Old Dirty?
Old Dirty
bastard. A song, and I was on the train. On Burke.
Wow.
He was coming from some shorty house at 241st. And we were on the train and we were both nobody at the time. And I saw him writing rhymes and I walked up and like, yo, you write rhymes? I was a battle rapper. So if I saw you looking like you rapping, it was an invitation. Oh. So I walked up and like, you writing rhymes? Who? Let me hear something. He rhymed. We started talking. His name was Old Dirty Bastard. At that time, I realized my name was MC Affecting, but they used to call me Pudgee because I was gaining weight because my grandmother died. I was eating everything I could find, and the girls was like, "You're not fat, you're Pudgee." And so I took the Pudgee part and ran with it. And then when he said that, because people was calling me the fat bastard, it immediately made sense to own it. I was like, "Oh shit!" And that's how I made myself. But nobody know that. I said that one other time before. That's how I made it because I felt like he was old and dirty looking at the time, respectfully. That was his swag. So it made sense. But since he owned it, that gave me the power to own the fat part.
Right.
I was like, he would be old and dirty and like it. Then to fat bastard and like it. And that's how it happened. Like, it definitely was from people saying it. I couldn't own it until that moment of clarity. So I'm respecting him. He's gone, and I want to tell it like it is because he motivated me to make a name that stuck.
Yeah. Yo, so just to go back, how'd you end up getting into to rhyming?
I used to listen to Roxanne and Shantae and UTFO battle. That battle with Roxanne's cousin. What was it?
I said it was epic. That battle was epic. Yeah. That was the first time you just like, damn, they going at each other.
Mm-hmm.
Was epic. I got Roxanne versus Sparky D vinyl in here. Mm-hmm. Like I was on that whole battle. The Roxanne's cousin, Roxanne's sister, nephew, everybody was coming out with a record, so it was a phenomenon to me. And one whole summer before the battle happened, I was in love with UTFO's album. Like man, like they whole album. I was just in my grandfather's house in North Carolina one summer, and I just stayed in the room with the cassette player, listening to that over and over and over again. And because it was three people, I think that's what kept me interested in the album because it was three personalities to listen to. Right. You know what I'm saying? And it was Kango, but Dr. Ice was different. And then, you had the educated rapper. And it was almost like watching a battle, but not a battle, because you got three different voices with three perspectives on a situation. So it was different moments for me. So I was learning a lot. I didn't know it then, but I was learning a lot. And then the battle record came out, and world premiere with Mr. Magic. And I just went crazy, like, yo, she answered the record back. Yo, that's crazy. And listening to her diss them and telling you that I had the mouth that was already reckless as a kid, I was like, oh, I could tell disrespect people on records. I could do that. Like, I want to do that. So I started writing rhymes. Like, it was really that. I just wanted to disrespect people worldwide, and and so my first record, I was MC Effect then, and I wrote my first rhyme called "Sorry I Got It Better," and I was Rakim at the time because his voice was the voice that mattered. Mm-hmm. So it's crazy because I like UTFO, but their voices wasn't the lit voices. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They didn't have that power. It was the moment. And you know, when we learn the evolution of hip hop and we learn the importance of tones and placement of cadence and the energy and the timbre behind someone's voice, you understand why a certain artist resonates more than a certain artist. You don't know that when you're listening as a young person, but when you get older, you'd be like, oh. So I never I would never think Kango was like fire, like he's a spitter. I like the records. Mm-hmm. So I realized I never took them with me, if that makes any sense. I never took them as an artist with me. I never was like, Kango's my favorite rapper or the educated, or they didn't matter to me. The records matter and what they did mattered. So they mattered in the moment, and after that I left them. But when I listened to Rakim,
yes, sir.
Rakim went everywhere with me. Like his it was like he's the big brother. Like when you hear him talking, what he say is like, if he told you to slap somebody, that might be the voice you hear before you slap somebody. Like, yo, slap that nigga. Like that's that type of. So I was like, okay, Rakim, that's what I want to be like. And I wrote my rhymes.
It's interesting you say that though, because I was like, one of the questions I had that I was going to ask you about is for your album, Giving the Finger. Like, one of the things that I noticed, I'm like, for you to be a young MC, it's noticeable that back then you understood cadence, song structure, and different things like melodies and all that. Whereas, you know, I think that album came out probably like 93, 94? 93.
October
93. There was people in 93, there were people that they were spitters, they were rhyming and everything. But as far as like song structure and stuff, you had few artists that knew how to actually put together good songs and melodies and hooks and all that stuff. But you listen to your album, I'm like, you got a hook on every song, melodic, different cadence and all that. So I don't know, maybe that's like the influences of like what you said, like, you know, I could listen to a UTFO and appreciate that how they use their voices as instruments, but then I could listen to a Rakim and appreciate his lyricism and how he moves. But it was very apparent, like from your debut album, like, yo, this is a dude on his first album, because I've seen many artists that don't realize that till later on in their careers.
You want to know what's kind of crazy, man? Listen, what I teach everyone that I work with now is to be present in every moment of your artistry. And I found that what you just said to me, I wish I had the clarity, or I wish I had a musical family, even though I had musicians. My mother's first cousin was in Kool and the Gang. Rest in peace, he just passed. Yes, I'm related to King's son. You know, I had everybody. Slick Rick lived up the block, and I worked with Antoinette all the time. She was like one of my whatever. Jazzy Joyce lived 4 houses down. Flex was always on the next corner with Monica, his girlfriend, while I was growing up. I had people around me, but they never lent themselves to tutoring me and schooling me in hip hop. I guess they were like 2 or 3 years older than me. So it's almost like they tried to little brother me, and nobody really gave me the support. I had to go find my own peer group, you know, to work with. And in that, I have to respect the fact that God gave me some sensibility in music, because when I listen to things, I hear them differently than people, as most great musicians do. Even now, when you're talking like Know the Ledge from Rakim, the intro to the song was important to me. So when I went to make songs, I'm only really putting this together and talking to you right now. When I went to make my songs, I wanted an intro as time length and energy wise and importance as Rakim's Know the Ledge. I developed my musicianship sense of placement and things from listening to other people. I didn't have someone to teach me bars, so and it's crazy. Right now, you can play a beat, and I can feel when it's 8 bars, when it's 16 bars, and I'm only saying lines of the rhyme while it's going by, and I'd be like, fire, skill, and I'd be like, all right, that's 8 bars. Like, I can feel it, but I only got that from listening to my favorite rappers and falling where they fell on the song. And I think that, and thank you for saying that about that album, because again, when I look back at young me, people say I was angry, and that's why I rhyme like that, which I guess, but I had a passion for spitting. There was something about, a forceful, aggressive delivery that created this understanding of where I was coming from. And when I listen back to those records, I'll be searching for what people say to me about me. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't really know. You're in the moment.
Yeah.
It's like when you're smacking somebody, sometimes you don't remember exactly what happened. You just know that their head was on the floor, and you're like, oh, it's really like, so making music is like that. It's like a Holy Ghost. It's like a spirit, right? You get in this place, even when you perform. Recently, maybe like a year and a half ago, whatever, I did a show with Mike Hands and Smith and Wesson and Babs Bunny and all these people. And shout out to everybody who was there. Heather Hunter hosted. And I'm doing this song I got on that's on Spotify or everything now, called Who Gonna Stop Me? And the song is really aggressive. Even when I listen to the music, that's why I wrote to it. And shout out to James Gold who did the music. But I didn't even remember that I jumped in the crowd and started pushing some nigga that I didn't even know. And they recorded it.
Well, you from the Bronx for real, my nigga. I don't give a fuck what you say.
And son, they said, yo, niggas came up to me and said, yo, you knew that nigga you was pushing like that? I said, nah, what nigga? Niggas showed me. Yo, son, I wasn't high. I didn't smoke. I didn't drink.
Moment.
Yo, and because, when it come on, I think I had melody in the rhyme, but I still wanted to be aggressive. So when I came on, I lose myself as soon as I start rhyming. I'll be like, I think I did a murder, kill him, put him in the dirt, murdered them with a new car, call that a new car alert. And as soon as I start saying that, everything be crazy. They used to say I'm not affectionate because I used to hug the block. But what's wrong with that, though? I love my block. Reaching for the stars, whipping in the cars. Young P used to hang with people pushing keys. As soon as I started doing it, I was like, oh, shit. It's that in the music. So when niggas told me, they said, yo, you just kept pushing the nigga. I'm like, what nigga? But when I saw the video back, I was like, oh, this is terrible. I had to find him and apologize to him. Like, I appreciate you being involved in the show. But shout out to him if you ever seen this video.
That's the power of words, man. When you put them together and sonically, when you feel it, it releases, man. Like even when you wrote "Word Up, motherfucker," what's the motherfucking deal? Fuck Polo. that shit right
Word
there.
Up, what's the motherfucking deal, nigga? Fuck Polo. You can call me Tommy Real, nigga.
That right there, I'm like, what, Tommy? That's what I'm talking about. When I hear shit like that, hip hop. I'm like, give me more. I need more, son. Keep feeding me like a battery, man. I love that shit, son. And
so
you present a lot of that in your music, and I love hearing that.
Son. I appreciate y'all for saying this because I got a new single dropping very soon called "Fingers in My Ear." That "Fingers in My Ears," yeah, that's gonna it's gonna be like that.
It's
gonna be like that.
So you working on new music then?
Oh, what are you talking about? Everything is so listen, I'm doing everything, bro. I'm on all streaming platforms with everything, right? But I'm on Sweet T's new single called Don't Play With It. I'm doing the chorus and the vamp on that. It's a dope song for me, and because of Sweet T, the legendary Sweet T who came before me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very who didn't stare at Sweet T's It's Tea Time album as a young boy, like, Who is this brown skin chick? What the hell? Furs and minks?
With the door knockers, son.
Say it again. So listen, she's still the same. So that's like a dream come true. Like, you know, you set out to be a computer dude, and then Bill Gates be like, yo, I want to hire you. You be like, ah! You know what I'm saying? So she's dropping her new single, and I'm on it. And I feel like I'm on Rakim's, I don't know if y'all know this, I'm on Rakim's 7th Seal album on 4 songs.
Hooks,
and
right? Doing hooks.
I'm on all the hooks, but I'm under my government name because I didn't want to rap at the time. I was finished with rap I thought for a minute, under my name Tracy. So when people saw Tracy Horton, they didn't know, and I was very happy. And then he messed that up by calling me to go perform with him at the Highline Ballroom. And it was he and Rick Ross, and he was like, I want you to come sing the songs. I was like, what songs? He's like, the ones we did. So if you go on YouTube, the song Walk These Streets with Mano and Rakim, that's me on the chorus. I'm just not in the video because I was just not at the place where I was stressing to be in the music business like that.
What was that about though? What made you be like, nah, I don't want to be in the music business no more?
So first things first, it was a lot of things, but my first album, they did not
Giant didn't do nothing with
they did not pay me any royalties and start reconciling. That was Giant Warner Brothers for the album Give Me the Finger. They did not pay me except last year they started because of Dan Sasson. Shout out to him. He's a publishing chaser. If you need him, holla at him. He rectified all that. He rectified all that for me and got that right. So I was already mad about the idea that I put work out into the universe, went on all these tours, wrote for all these people behind the scenes, but I felt like I wasn't getting what I wanted out of it. So I was very with all that. Then you know, I wrote 5 songs for Left Eye on the Supernova album, and
that was very close, right?
Yeah, we weren't as close as Pac and I was, so that's how her and I got close. You know, Pac and I were close, very close before he got on. Shout out to Stretch from Live Squad, rest in peace. He introduced us when Pac was a dancer. Pac and I got wild tight after that, and so our friendship was a very normal friendship. It had nothing to do with the music industry. It was a human relationship. We were just brothers, both in the Bronx, both born in 1971, a month apart, and we both spoke rudely about things we had ideas about. So that was a long relationship before he was on, right when I was signing my first deal, and he passed. So that was really bad for me. And he had just said, you know, he was doing crazy stuff anyway. He had just said my name in the Hit 'Em Up video where he's dissing Biggie, and he already knew that Biggie and I was doing songs together, and I'm here in New York. So he was like, you know, he was saying that he whatever with Faith, and then he shouted out Smith and Wesson and Naughty and myself in the video, and people would come up to me like, yo, you heard what Pac did? And I was like, oh God. But everywhere he went, he would say my name. So it wasn't like that was an isolated incident. Right. You know, one time he was interviewing Angie Martinez, and she was like, yo, I didn't know you and Pac were this close, because he was talking about a baseball team. If Raekwon had a baseball team, Pudgee Tha Phat Bastard, and in people's mind, they don't know that you're associated with these people because it's just not consumption, right? So when he passed, I was twisted. Biggie passed, I was twisted. Left Eye got the lyrics. We were in LA at the time, at Dr. Sabi's office.
Wow.
And because Dr. Sabi used to date her mother when she was young. So that's how she knew him. So she had got us all the pills and all that. She was telling me she was going to invest in him and go to Honduras. Mm-hmm. And she was like, yo, Pac's mother just sent me these vocals. I'm going to let you write my part, because that's going to be the last time y'all get to rock together. Mm-hmm. And it was deep. It was we both was like, you know, twisted about it. We went in the studio. The song's called Untouchable. It's on YouTube and on her Supernova album. And I laid the lyrics, her part, And all other joints she listened to me to. If you go listen to Hot by Left Eye, I had her sound like she was straight from New York, like rap fire. And then she tricked me. She did all the other songs pretty much how I said. The I Believe in Me, the joint I wrote with her and Carl Thomas. She did that kind of good, even though she did that. I was like, yo, stop this, right? So she takes me to the studio. I lay the joint for Untouchable with her and Pop. She's like, oh, I'm tired. We're going to lay it tomorrow. We staying in the Mondrian in LA. I get up. She's nowhere to be found. She went and laid the joint without me. Son.
Damn.
I was like, yo, Lisa, that's not how I told you. That's not the reference. She's like, oh, I felt it was good. You know, she a Gemini. I wasn't about to go toe to toe. I was like, she a female. Just let her rock. If you like it, I love it. So, yeah. And then we seen each other when she came back to LA. She said, yo, right after we come back from Honduras, we're going to do some more records. And she never came back from Honduras.
Yeah.
So I was done with hip hop to get to the question. I was done with hip hop. I was running around screaming hip hop is the devil. I said this prayer to God so that he could take away whatever, I don't even want to say it out loud now, but whatever skills or whatever that happened. I was crying on my knees like, just music business.
Yeah.
For about 10 years, you could play any beat in the world. I could not hear nothing. I was a regular person. I had made enough bread to stay in the house and never come outside. And that's what I did. And that's when I started losing weight. I took these pills and they gave me crazy energy and I just started running around the world and I lost 90 pounds. I was like, well, praise the Lord, something came out of this. Yeah. And then at one point I started going places and getting involved with just simple sex and people would be like, yo, there's something special about you. And then people who knew who I was like, nah, man, you music, you ain't nothing else. You know, I went back to school for another degree thinking I was going to find some new magic. And then I would be there and the directors would be like, why are you here? You know more than the people you should be teaching these classes. Yeah. So it became a thing where no matter what I tried to do to get away from myself, it was just me and me back in the same place.
You know what? I'm sorry, go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
No, you good. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know what I respect about that, though? The fact that you even had the wherewithal. And it's funny because me and Rob was talking about this earlier. We was talking about like mental health. And the fact that you even had the wherewithal to say like, all right, you know what? This is not making me feel how I want to feel. I'm not getting what I should get out of it. I'm going to take a break and step away from it. And it sounds like stepping away from it sort of reinvigorated you or gave you clarity after the fact. I tip my cap to you for that because a lot of people, once they get their foot in that door, no matter whether it's good, bad, and indifferent, they gonna hang on to it to the very end.
Listen, I'm gonna say something. First of all, I appreciate you for saying that because some people, you know what I realize, lowly people, and anybody who's watching, lowly people who are desperate and don't see anything else in themselves. And I'm not putting no positive spin on it. I'm not saying it nicely. People who don't got no self-respect, self-esteem, and don't have, on the lighter side, a support system or whatever, may feel like they're stuck. It's like being in an abusive relationship because that's what it would be, right? For me, I'm a Cancer, you know, and like 50 Cent and Missy Elliott and Jim Jones and Kevin Hart, and a lot of us have the same whatever. And if it don't make us happy, we don't want it. And I know that in the beginning, on my first deal, like people always wonder what happened. And, you know, I know that y'all, I'm assuming you feel like this. No one likes to hear somebody misspeak about your actual life. Like, you can tell me what you thought, but don't tell me what actually happened because I'm going to tell you what happened. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's crazy. So I walked away from every deal that I was on. Yes, at some point I wanted a deal after just wanting to rhyme, but I really just wanted to rhyme. Mm-hmm. So when I was on Giant Warner Brothers, I was like, after the first single, I said, I don't like this. This ain't it. I don't want to be here. They put the album out without me being signed to the label anymore. I asked for a release. Latifah helped me get out that deal. Yeah. Nobody knows that. People think, oh, you fell off. Oh, you did. I never wanted this business like that. I wanted people to hear me spit. Because when I was young, I didn't like my speaking voice. My mother educated me really well because she was the educator in the home. My father taught me martial arts. My mother taught me education. My mother taught me corporate lifestyle. My mother was a director of Verizon, 9X before that, and whatever. My mother's a collegiate individual. She went to school my entire childhood. My sister would say we barely saw her. I would say we saw her after school and after work. And so, but my mother, that's what she's about, academia and a successful lifestyle that would allow you to do other things in your life that you want to do. So she wanted me to go to Brown. I was getting all these scholarships. You know, I'm wildly intelligent, but I have ADHD and have now found out that I'm bipolar, whatever. Which doesn't mean you're schizophrenic. It means that you have crazy mood swings, which explains why we want to slap people and then be like, "What's up? Let's go to the party." You know. So at some point, you talk about mental health. I think I always had a grip on myself, and I never, just like with the music, I never knew what it was. I knew that God gave me something, and even with my parents, my mother would be like, "Oh, you're a knucklehead," but I was gonna do what I want. I don't care what. I wasn't robbing, I wasn't stealing, I wasn't doing drugs, I wasn't raping. But when it came to, if I wanted to write rhymes or go to this class and pay all the attention, like, so I would finish historically, I would finish everything before everybody and then mess with the whole class because I was smart. So I would just be like, "Oh, the test is done." And people were like, "You done?" I'm like, "Yep." And then I would just be making this weird squeaky noise in my ear that I could do or stuff like that. So I was always in trouble, but it was never for academia. I was in the top. My mother gave me some paper recently. I was like in the top whatever 1% of children that were educated. I have some whatever IQ. But at the same time, with the ADHD, I can't sit still. Even now, I'm doing everything. And my house and my studio looks just like that. Everything going on right here. I need this. I need these digital this here. I need these to be ready to do this. Everything has to be at my disposal because the moment I'm bored with this, I'm doing that. It's just how it works. So I think my mental health was something that I always had control of. My feelings, I always put my feelings first. I didn't care how you feel. Like say the music. People, when I would be on tour, people would say, "Oh, they would try to make me feel bad. You're not here for Thanksgiving. You're not here for this and that." But I knew that I didn't like being around certain members of this huge family who like to say whatever they wanted to. So I would shelter myself. When I was here, I would be in my room writing rhymes or not, because I knew that you had the propensity and you were an adult to be disrespectful. Right. And me at 14, I was still going to talk to you like, "Who are you talking to, you birdhead old lady?" Right? So to save my mother from being pissed off and then being pissed off at me, I would isolate myself because I fought the whole 47th precinct. Shout out to the 47th precinct.
Even more, son. Yo, you're so uptown.
Yeah.
You're so uptown, bro.
Yeah. Shout out to any of the ladies who was out there screaming for me when they had me out there in my underwear. Yeah, dude put his hand on me. I put his hand in the arm bar, and he couldn't get out, and I just commenced to keep punching him the whole time, bow, like in his head, 100 times. So the whole precinct had to come out. They still couldn't get me off. Shout out to Bert. Bert was in the front, who was driving, yelling out, "Let him go! Let him go, Pudge! Let him go!" Because the whole precinct was shaking the paper. It was in the paper, and Al Sharpton, who didn't want to come up and rep me, "I have no good words for you. May your bobblehead fall off and roll under a bowling alley somewhere." Because my mom's always trying to give him the help when they try to do whatever. So yeah, may your bobble lollipop head roll off underneath some truck and get rolled over. Next. So yeah. So that's just what it was, man. I had a very good sense of self. My self-awareness has always been on, and I didn't even know. But when people would talk to me about me, I'll be like, "Word?" I'm like that. I just was never going to let nobody oppress me. I told people I would have been the male Harriet Tubman. Like, y'all want to stay here and be slaves? Praise the Lord. I'm about to go find a way up out of here and do what we need to do. And it seemed like, some people, and it's like the company people, right? Some people are okay being slaves because they don't want to disrupt whatever or get beat. And they just want to go along and get along. I never been that person. Right. I'm sorry. If I got to pull the emergency brake to stop this train because I want over there, I'm going to pull the emergency brake. And I'm going to get off now.
Yeah.
That's just it. And I think that's what a lot of people need for themselves. God, you man.
Why Giant Records though? Because if I think back, I'm like the only other people I knew. Color Me Bad. I think they had MC Hammer at one point, but Lord Finesse. I think Lord Finesse Return of the Funky Man album was on there, right?
Yeah, shout out to Finesse Man because we came up together. We was always on the phone rhyming back and forth when he was living with his grandmother. Rest in peace to her. You know what? I should have learned my lesson from that, but at that point, I was tired and I wanted the deal. And Trackmasters got that deal, and Max Goose was there. Shout out to him. And it looked like it was going to be official. And it was like, you know, again, we talk about landmarks, right? That was a landmark in a long journey of spitting, rhyming, and skate key, battling people, getting on Clues mixtapes and Ron G and Doo-Wop, and wondering what's the end game, what's the goal here. Yeah. So if we was not gonna go get a 9-to-5, we had to find a home for this music to be distributed, and I guess that's where I was. I wanted it to be distributed, and that seemed like the most ideal situation with the way that it was presented to me at the time. Mm-hmm. They had Color Me Bad, they had Jade, which, you know, Kevin, shout out to Kevin for Color Me Bad. His child's mother was my friend. She actually brought me into the situation when I was signed with Grandmaster Flash. Her name was Essence. She is now dead, passed away. Shout out to her. Yeah, she was on the New Jack City soundtrack. So shout out to her. And it seemed like it was going to be a good situation. I liked everything about it. It felt supportive in the first few months. They had like 2 parties for me, and one in Atlanta, one. It was fire. It's just I knew that they did not have what I wanted, which was a Def Jam family of artists to piggyback off of. Right. And even though, again, I didn't know if what I was feeling or thinking was right, but I was like, shouldn't I be like the other rappers that got people that they do songs with and they go on tour and why don't I have that here? So don't ask me. But that little kid that I was at 22 was like, it don't seem right. I don't want to be here no more. And I asked for, like, right in the beginning, I didn't care how much money. I want off. I don't like it. You know, and
it's funny. It's funny you say that too, because that was one of the other things that I was going to say. Like your album, you had very few features. I think you had G-Rap. G-Rap's the rapper's rapper. We'll get to G-Rap in a minute because I want to talk to you about G-Rap. G-Rap, Snagglepuss, and I think one other person, right? But I thought
I had Gowdy and Frank Nitty rhyming on that joint, doing them see something terrible.
Yeah, I thought that was by design, though. I thought that, honestly, I'm like that. I thought that was by design. That you had a debut album.
Mean by design?
Meaning that you had a debut album. You was like, yo, I'm Pudgee. I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna give a couple of people. I mean, anybody who wants to have G-Rap on the album. Yeah. Anybody who want to have G-Rap on the album. G-Rap is G-Rap.
Yeah,
G-Rap.
I didn't like nobody like that. You know what's crazy? The one, I don't got no regrets ever. But shout out to OC. OC is forever gonna be my brother. OC, when I broke up with my girl, he told me to come to his house, and he and his moms made sure that nervous breakdown or that jail time that I was gonna do for what I was thinking about doing when I called her cheating, never happened.
Yo,
so and you got to be respectful of the chess moves that happen in your life and the people that are associated with them. Mm-hmm. And I was in a very volatile place because people who see me and see my aesthetic, this is what my parents made when they had sex. But inside of me is a silverback that sometimes knocks me out the way and takes control. Mm. So at that moment, had he not put his arm on my shoulder and his mom put his arm on the other, I probably would be talking to you from a collect call.
Damn.
Because I was, Clue and I came up to the door, my ex-girl, her sister wouldn't let me in because she was pregnant. She was like, oh, don't push past the door. But she was in the bed with a dude. And when you were young.
Who was pregnant? Hold on, go back. Who was pregnant?
Nah. My ex-girl's sister was pregnant.
Oh, okay,
so
okay.
That was the reason that we didn't knock down the door.
Okay.
She was like, I'm pregnant. Don't you push past this door. But her sister was in the back with a dude.
Damn.
That's an episode.
And so, yeah, Man, you know, it happened to the whoever. You know, you go on tour, people can't wait. People young or not young, just thoughts. I don't know what it is. Shout out to her. We cool now. But there are people like her behaving like that back then. Or, yeah. And the facts be the facts, right? We can't erase the facts. Once you do it, it's both of our stories. So, nevertheless, OC, I was at his crib and he was with me at my sessions, and I never put him on the album, but that's because I didn't find a song where I felt, like you said, I just wanted to rhyme. I had bars for everything. Mm-hmm. You could have put on your mother banging pots and pans in the kitchen, and I was going to have 2 verses and a chorus in 10 minutes. So I didn't need anybody to fill up my spaces or my songs. That would have been a passion project. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I reached out to him recently to do something. We're going to see how that goes. I mean, he says whatever, Pudge. I mean, again, we brothers, whatever. Yeah. But G-Rap is where I got my metaphorical, theoretical, slaughter you from. Mm-hmm. And, you know, after the Shantays and all that, he actually wrote for her, right? So when I started exploring her, I wasn't jacking G-Rap when people were on the Juice Crew features. It wasn't until he started making his own joint, Streets in New York. It just, there was something so believable about this narrator. I felt like, you know how you go to a hood and the person who's talking to you be like, yo, don't go down this block. If you go down this block, some bad, and you like, oh, they know what they talking about. They out here. Mm-hmm. When I listened to G-Rap's record, I felt like he was out here. Like, everything that happened, he was there or making it happen. So Joe Fatal, shout out to Joe Fatal, who has been my brother the whole time I've been doing this music thing. I told Fatal I wanted G-Rap on a song, and he took me to G-Rap's house. It was that easy. I sat there for a couple hours, we talked, and G-Rap was on the album. And yeah, man, same with MC Light. You know, Light is on there talking, and I was like, yo, Light, come to the studio. She just came through and was talking on the album. Like, those times, I'm sure people have stuff like that, but those times are so organic, because if you fuck with somebody, you fuck with them. Like, you like what they was doing, you just go. A session was different back in the day. Yeah. A session was like a vibe party. Now it's
those days were great, because that's when music, you can really make music, because you're in the studio with the producer, with the art. You're feeding off of each other's energy, and y'all come over. Even if you're in there 4 or 5 hours, eat chicken wings, sipping soup, whatever you're doing, but you're feeding off of the camaraderie of being in the same environment with one another, and you make beautiful music. I love that, man. One of the things I wanted to ask you, and kind of in the same light, how do you feel about social media robbing the authenticity of hip hop? And that's kind of tied to what we're talking about, because that authenticity. Now niggas are sending emails, tracks, emails. No one's sitting in the studio like how, you know what I mean? Even when we're doing.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's what I know, right? I know that I've been in this business since the business was the business, and before the business was the business. And I'm a person who likes to educate myself on current things. So I went back and I got a degree in social media communications. My degree is in media communication. So I did all those studies. I had the top people from the newspapers, from the internet, from commercial brand lines, Tide, and come and speak to us and educate us on the illusion of media.
There you go.
Being on tour since you was a kid, and knowing that there's a hustling promoter, there's a ticket scalper, there's somebody lying saying they with the artist. I feel like social media ain't nothing but
scalper.
a beast mode of the liars that we know that are in the music business. I've seen foolery, and you know, back then we had to see them on set. You know what I'm saying? We had to be in the party with the fakers. But now on the internet, for me, with my life experience, once you've been a whole bunch of places and met a whole bunch of personalities, you just feel that somebody put a camera on all of them. I'm not, nothing with, I didn't have to be trained in what a shenanigan was on the internet. I was like, this don't look nice. And I've been on everything. Like, I'm a person that didn't phase myself. Again, I'm a tech person. So Black Planets, AOL chats, MySpaces, like I just walked the walk just out of curiosity. And I was on trend with the Black Planets. And so I got to see the maturation of the internet and how a small scam turned into a bigger version of the same scam that was last week, and was able to identify. So how do I feel about it? I feel like if you was on your P's and Q's in real life, you on your P's and Q's on social media. I'm not like, ooh, or the only thing, and I be telling people this when they be having relationship issues because of social media, I'm like, the only thing that this is giving you is access. These same ratchet people was in Texas. These same ratchet people was in, not the Texas, I'm just saying ratchet people everywhere. Ratchet people in California, ratchet people, the only thing that is now, you can pick up your phone while you're waiting in the doctor's office and see them. You don't need a plane ticket. But those of us who had either music tours or big families with cousins, and you went to visit other towns, like people that live in England come here to visit their cousins in Brooklyn, it's a whole nother mindset. They seen all of this. So you putting a camera on it, they feel like you late. You know what I'm saying? Half the music that we listen to now, I feel like you late. They've been doing this in the diaspora and the subcultures out there. They've been on this. They've been doing this type of, you're just late because you go to Walmart job, come home and listen to your 5 favorite artists, and you be acting shocked when this person finally gets a push. But I don't feel nothing is new, bro. When people talk to me about all of this stuff, what's the newest scam? Oh, send me 300, I'm gonna send you 10,000. They've been doing pyramids everywhere, bro. Listen, stop playing with me. That nothing is new. It was on the scams before. Remember the scam when AOL first came out? Oh, my brother, I am from Africa and I have access to 10 million. I just need someone to transfer the phone. Bitch, I ain't sending you nothing, block. Like,
I had a Nigerian.
I'm not that type of human, bro. So we're not even gonna even have. It's like walking down 42nd when they had 3-car mods. He was like, I don't want to know what's under none of them cups. Move. I'm trying to get to the studio. It's for fools. I don't get involved in none of them flower hustles, pyramid, nothing, the rolls. I ain't doing none of it, bro.
Talk a little bit about your early years hanging out with Nas and Akinyele.
Nas and Akinyele, shout out to both of them. They two are the realest, man. I all I can say is, again, we had a nightly cipher. Nas, I'm sure he's seen me say this before, but I'm so excited about how he carried forth, because on the calls, Nas was not as ready as Akinyele and I was. He'd be like, yo, I only got 8 bars. I'm gonna have my verse on Friday. He'd be like, but we gave you a verse every night. So, but he went on to be a writer with, for me, with prolific writing and a visionary type of storytelling style and a presence that he carried forth, and he had the tenacity. The one thing I'm gonna say is he didn't quit on himself or hip hop. Akinyele, we already know, or maybe y'all don't know, that he got the great clubs with the ladies entertaining.
He's doing his thing.
Yeah. Don't he got King of Diamonds?
Yeah, that. So and listen, that's true to who he was, right? Like, put it in your mouth, and he kept it consistent. But I'm gonna say this.
So he was on his freak shit.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say these were my real friends, man. I mean, they knew my sister. They neither one of them went to college, but when I went to go, my mother was like, you either going, that rapping is great that you want to try to do, but if you want to be here, I need to see an enrollment. So they went with me to enroll in college, even though they were not enrolling. My bros got on the train, and went with me. And I'm never gonna forget that. Like that's something that has nothing to do with hip hop.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so when they call, if they ever needed something of me and to tell their story, me to tell the early years of who they were and about their tenacity, I just spoke to a couple of months back, and he's the same. And yeah, he's like talking to Ike, it's nothing but a laugh fest, and the way he talk about it's like, it's like Pac and I had a way of talking that was rough. Like, oh, they trash. I could be like, man, they do what they do, and some people gonna like it.
Like
it's so crazy. It would be some crazy way to say the same thing, but you knew we were saying the same thing.
Yeah, nah, that sounds exactly like him. Is it true you wrote Joe Fatal's verse for Live at the Barbecue?
So, I'm gonna say this exactly how it's supposed. Fatal called me one night. I woke up. It was late. They was in the studio. He said, "Yo, I want to be on a song. I don't have no bars." I freestyled him however many bars, maybe 8, maybe 10. Mm-hmm. And by the time I said, "I'll call you back with the rest." And when I called him back, Ak and Nas had finished the last few lines. So it was a collaborative effort. So when I say I wrote it, I mean I wrote whatever part I wrote. Yeah. But again, because that caused a little bit of confusion. Fatal wasn't an MC. You know what I'm saying? He was a DJ, and he was my brother. And when they call, I'm gonna support them in whatever they want to do. So I definitely was a part of that joint. Period. In the story.
That's the tune right there.
Yeah.
And that was a good verse. It just so happened though to be on there with Nas and Ak.
Well, that's the family. It was not gonna not happen. That's like the G-Rap thing. Paul, Large Professor, he was the clique. Like, they went to school together. Nas and Fatal and Paul. Like, these is friends. Again, this wasn't, I like that rapper. Let me put them on there. Right. This was my boy Nice. We doing some joints. I want him on this. Right. And that's what that is. It was all organic. I was there when he was making the Breaking Adams album. You know what I'm saying? Wearing a shirt and penny loafers because my mother told me I was not going to be a rapper. So I had to leave the house and go to clothes, and she said I was rocking. And yeah. I mean, they were expensive clothes, but I mean, I'm not going to be at the golf club. It's just never going to happen. But that's why I look like I was going. I'm going to the golf club. Y'all coming? So,
yo, how'd you link up with Trackmasters? Because you worked with Trackmasters in their infancy when they was just getting started.
Fire. My god sister Aisha, she was in the group Poison Posse, a group that Sweet Tea created.
I remember Poison Posse.
And at one point while they were doing their project, we were at her house and she was just tired of me being lit and not having the outlet for it. Mm. And she grew up with Tone, right? I love Tone from Trackmasters, and she called him, and I rhymed for him on the phone, and 3 weeks later we had a deal.
Damn, that's quick.
Yeah, I went and did demos with them, and it was. Listen, man. I mean, now listen. We talk about the end being that fast, right? The deal procurement sounding like overnight, but there was no overnight. I was rhyming for years, trying to battle everybody. I knew Gangstar when they came here and they was living on Fordham Road when they came from Boston. I knew everybody. Mm-hmm. But Diamond D said to me, who I knew from the beginning, nobody's going to help you because you're better than them, which made no sense to me. But it lit the fire. It gave me the clarity I needed to say, oh, okay. So if they're not going to help, then I'm going to have to just go fire and burn everybody to shreds so that they're non-existent. And that my name is the only name that's mattering when it comes to bars. And that's where I went with it, And then the Clue tapes and all the other tapes. And it's just, and then DMX. After one of the Clue tapes, X used to stay at my cousin's house, Vic. And my cousin Damien asked me to do a song with X. He was like, yo, cuz, you should do a song with this dude from our hood. Now, X wasn't out yet. And we met up. He had just had his son, Gerb, Xavier. And I came and picked him up in my MPV, and we went to Nick Wiz's studio, and we did 2 joints, and they was fire. Those are some dope times. Sorry, I'm just, RIP X, man, because it's always the good ones. Yeah, I kind of went some wins, man. So,
right. Because it appears that the lifestyle or the way you was living or the way you live today, even today, man, you're singing in God, man. All of your relationships are authentic and organic. It's not some superficial shit, and that's why you can cherish those moments. I can feel your vibe when you talk about Left Eye, Big, and that's like me talking about you know what I'm saying? That's like me talking about my brother I grew up with. You know what I mean? When we see ham and cheese sandwiches and 50 cent pizza. You know what I mean? And then we blew up, and then other stuff started to happen. But I remember, nigga, you was picking in your nose. Them days. I know them. You know what I mean?
You know what? I realize that I've done my best to try to remain not like everybody else.
There you go.
If I see y'all doing this, I don't want to do that. Like, I got a letter that X wrote me from jail. I didn't post it. Maybe one day it'll be something somebody wants to buy, but right now he just passed. It's not something to put online. I see people post these Pac letters and do all this stuff, and the next day the person dies. All about you, man. I remember when we did something. I don't like none of that. You're never gonna see like. There's no grieving period for me. It was kind of shocking when he did the Drink Champs interview, and then he says in the interview that Pudgee and I were in the studio when I got the call that my grandmother died, and then people were calling me. But it's kind of how you said. I felt like I'm with my man Mike when his grandmother died. Like, you don't care about Mike, so why you care about the man?
Right.
Like, it's just a person. Do I realize the value of these people? Yes, I started with Jay-Z. Yes, I know all these people, but they're just human beings that's doing whatever they're doing on whatever level they're doing it on. If I see you, you're still going to be the same person in my head that had on the same jeans and sneakers when I last saw you. Right. I don't see what you acquired because all that can disappear. Right. I don't see who you're sleeping with because y'all can break up. Nothing impresses me in the way that it changes the value of your humanity. If you're a shit person and you get a lot of stuff, I'm going to say, look at that shit person with a lot of stuff. And if you're a dope person with a lot of stuff, then we're not even going to talk about your stuff because you're not coming with that air about you. You're coming into the circle like, how can we work together? How you been? And that's it. Stuff is just stuff. And that's something, I'm going to have to say, that's something my mom taught me. Stuff is just stuff. It could get messed up. It could get totaled. It could get burned down. Stuff is just stuff. And a lot of people, because they never had stuff or don't understand that stuff is just stuff, they make that the bane of their existence, and they're chasing people for the wrong reasons, and that's why they're inauthentic and they don't get the blessings that they want. I'm good on this level, and I'm good on this level, and I'm good in between, and I'm good not being on any level and being over here and being happy. So I think it's important to maintain your identity. And when you started talking about mental health, it's crazy because when I do some interviews, some people hit things right on the head, and some people make me want to go get a sandwich while they talking. So once I jumped in talking to y'all got everything figured out. And it's funny, when I went back to school, I wanted to create a program that helped artists maintain their identity from identifying yourself before you go into this business, knowing who you are at all times during this business, no matter what level, no matter what accolades, and realizing when you transition out of that the importance or the glitter of and glimmer of those things may devalue in time. It may be like driving a car off a lot. You the dopest car in the hood when you the new Range Rover that came out. But after 2 months, 2 weeks, there's a new whatever coming out, and you might have to drop a new car, in your line, right? So I think the most important part, and it's funny, when I was doing this creating this program and thinking about doing it, Justin Bieber was going through all the stuff he was going through. And it definitely made me realize that it's going to continue, Amy Winehouse's and so on and so forth. It is not easy if you weren't lit growing up and you get I'm going to make it about a female, and you get your body done and you're suddenly beautiful and all these labels are pushing you to all these things and you got stylists all day and now you're this different version of who you were when you just wasn't lit. It could go really bad because you probably found the version of yourself you thought you always wanted to be, but it's not actually you because it's addressing. The clothes are addressing, the surgeries are addressing. The real you is underneath there, and if the real you was broken going in, and you didn't do anything besides the surgeries, the real you is still broken. So when men talk to you, you're going to be vulnerable. When businesses talk to you, you're going to be vulnerable. And when you leave all those things, the people who knew that you were trash going in or knew that you were whatever you were, they're going to definitely remind you. And if you don't have a hold on who you are from the beginning to end, you have chinks in your armor. And I've never been that person. Like recently I came out, my hair grows, I'm mixed. So my hair grows whatever. And I cut it all the time. So I went outside with my hair like stupid. It had to be like the biggest afro anybody ever seen. But I was going to the barber to cut it to decide what style I want to eat. And because of how my hair grows, they always tell me to blow dry my hair first. Right. I'm going to the store and I see dudes on the block and they're like, "Oh, you came outside looking crazy. The rapper out here looking crazy." And I turned around and I look beautiful. What are you talking about? And you're paying attention. A dude on the corner, sell crack, do whatever you're doing. Right? But that's what my family instilled in me. It's not, I know my purpose was to come out, like you were talking about the music earlier, intentionally to go to where I'm going because it has to look like this so that they can make it look like it's supposed to look. So there was no way not to come outside with my hair looking like this. But you, with taking what I like to call the snapshot of somebody, you think that this is the largest sum of my existence. Bro, this is 25 minutes in the barber seat. And had I not seen you, you would have never seen this. So I feel like people make things out of things that are nothing because they're seeking to tear you down. I'm fired regardless, bro. I'm fired. However, if I came out and this looked like I just fought in the locker room 15 people before I came on stage, it's just a hairstyle, bro. That's it. If I needed a facial surgery, then you could be like, "Yo, that face," and I'd have nothing. So I think people need to get a grasp on who they are, and even if you're not what society says is the most visually acceptable, find the things in yourself, personality and appearance wise, that are strong and emphasize those and play to those things and realize what you do have versus what you don't have. And I think we try to, and we all do it, we try to shed a light on some things that ain't it at that moment. But that's your moment to tell me what is lit. Oh, I don't know about that right there. Oh yeah, well, so, okay, we had a conversation. You telling me what's lit, and you're gonna get those rolls off. Those chichos you have on the side, or you're going to the gym and you know about this, but you working out, you're creating a program, and you're fire, and you just had a baby. Well, there it is. I'm just saying, all of us can have a day, but knowing who you are versus who you're not is what it is. And I think that's what I tell my kids, especially my daughter, and that's what I tell my friends who have low self-esteem. So